this is a great game. It's a horrible God. And as a result of it, this is not who I am. It's what I do.
Welcome to the Created to Be podcast. We're back for another week, and I'm one of your hosts, Bethany Pygott, joined by my husband, Justin.
Yo.
We are your only two hosts this week, but we have a very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Scott Nicholson.
Hello, people.
Hello, Scott. I told you, Scott, as you walked in today, that this was a day I've been waiting on, is that you would be on the pod because you have so many great stories. So we're excited to talk to you today and see where, I have I have a plan. I always have show notes, but we don't know what journey we're going to take today with Scott at the table.
My life is lived off script.
Off script.
Off script.
Right. Yeah. I can see that. So we are missing Darius and Brandy, but we're thankful to have Scott. Scott is on staff here at Mississippi State with FCA with the football team, and he has been converted to a bulldog.
Yeah.
Fully? Is it a full conversion, Scott?
My lawyer told me that I needed to plead the fifth.
Oh, gosh. Boy, that's applicable right now.
Yeah.
Relevant.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, absolutely. Converted.
Yeah. So, Scott, maybe you can share a little bit of your story of, you were on staff with FCA prior to coming to Mississippi State, and you were serving in a different role. Mm-hmm. So if you want to share any of that.
Well, I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, but moved to the Tupelo area, Fulton to be exact, and served on FCA staff there in the high school and junior college areas. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Pastored a church for 20 years, and then here we are.
Yeah. And what convinced you that this move was for you and your family?
It was the
Mississippi
Lord.
State? Yeah.
Because
you were a Rebel fan, right?
Why is she doing this to me?
Man, we're getting into it quick.
From the top.
Yes.
Okay.
Grew up a Rebel.
Okay.
Daddy was my dad. Bless his heart, I love it. He's 80 years old, and Dad is. He grew up in the Archie Manning era.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of hard not to be a fan of
it is hard
that.
not to be. And the first game that I ever went to was Ole Miss versus Alabama in Jackson. Ole Miss almost beat them. It was 62-0, Alabama. And so, fun fact: my dad was a plumber by trade, and so all of the bathrooms in Veterans Memorial Stadium, he helped build those.
Whoa!
And so it was kind of a nostalgic thing for us to go to go to Memorial Stadium there and see Alabama Ole Miss and so it was it was a family thing.
Yeah.
I mean, all of his brother's a big Ole Miss guy. And so growing up, he would take us to games. I mean, every bowl game, the Independence Bowl or the Liberty Bowl, we always went to it. I saw Brett Favre's last game for USM.
Yeah.
And it was because my uncle took me. Would go to the Liberty Bowl to see Ole Miss and Air Force and that kind of stuff, and so it was by default, And when John Powell was at Ole Miss, just great friends with John, he was the chaplain there, FCA campus director, and then of course Todd Johnson went, and then Scott Weathersby, and was really good friends with Scott Weathersby, and Sammy Smith had me over to speak on several occasions. Still have a lot of friends that are there. I mean, a lot of the coaches that are there are good friends. Mm-hmm. A lot of the players that have graduated and gone elsewhere. Got a good friend that graduated and played there that is a coach at Auburn. This is a good friend of mine, Jacob Springer. But when we came here, I'd always heard that Mississippi State was more of a family atmosphere, and I'm like, that's my kind of people, just people that will love you regardless of who you are. Put on a pair of boots and jeans and let's go. And we just fit in from day one.
Yeah. So basically you didn't have a choice to be a Rebel fan, but you chose Mississippi State.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
It was predestined and preordained.
That you'd be here. Well, I know that feeling a little bit because I'm from Texas and I didn't even know Mississippi State existed. But I know at some point I've probably shared this story. But anyways, I sent out letters to a bunch of colleges, and Mississippi State happened to be one of those colleges. So whenever they sent me a questionnaire, it wasn't even like an interest letter, but just like, here's a questionnaire for our basketball team. I like had to Google Mississippi State, and then I found out they were in the SEC. Justin makes fun of me for that, but
all the time.
I had no idea. And so I had to kind of like become a fan. I wasn't, I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And then when we were at University of Texas, I was just thinking about how, like, growing up, my dad is an Aggie. So we did not. And then I really am not the biggest fan of burnt orange, like just that color. But serving with FCA, you're like, well, now I am, like, because that's where we were. And so you immerse yourself in that, and you're like, we're Longhorns. And according to our son, Ben, they're the Bighorns.
Oh,
so,
yeah, they are the Bighorns. He likes to cheer for the Bighorns.
Well, we're not cheering for the Bulldogs. We're cheering for the Bighorns because, forever.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, like we'll forever be fans. So much of our life and time was spent there. So, love where you live, right?
No, you really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Peyton is 16, and I talk about Peyton all the time because, good night, he's my son, he's my best friend, that kind of stuff. But the amazing thing about it is that you want to talk about a diehard rebel. That was a diehard rebel. They get beat, he cries.
He's the kid in the stands they pan to on the camera.
Absolutely.
Those poor kids always wreck me. I'm like, oh no, not the kid.
And those fun facts about games that are just, we were walking across the field at Ole Miss with Scott Weathersby, and Peyton just let some fun fact out, and Scott just laughed, and I said, Google it. It's true.
It's true.
And he Googled it, and it was the exact score, the exact this, the exact that. But the other day, Peyton told me, he said, I don't think I could ever move from Starkville. He said, I can't wait to get back in Davis Wade. He said, I love Mississippi State.
Let's go. Let's go.
So I've done one thing right.
Yeah.
What about your wife?
Now that's a different story.
We're going to get into some marriage stuff later, so might as well introduce her.
Yeah, my wife, Susan, we've been married 28 years, and just a sweetheart of a lady. Grew up in Alabama. And the crazy thing, you've seen those house divided, this kind of stuff. Her house is very divided because her and her mother grew up Alabama fans, and her dad and sisters grew up Auburn fans.
Oh, man.
And so trash talk and all this kind of stuff. Her mom graduated from Alabama with a teaching degree, and her dad graduated from Auburn with a forestry degree.
Well, it makes sense.
It does, but, I look at it this way. Her mom graduated with a teaching degree, and she taught for a living. Her dad graduated with a forestry degree and painted houses for a living. So, but it paid the bills.
Yeah.
And so she had a desire. She loves math, and she wanted to be an accountant. And so she wanted to go to Alabama, and we were living in Alabama at the time. I was pastoring a small church over there, and she said, I want to go to Alabama. I want to major in accounting. And when we moved to Mississippi, I'm like, I can't pay out-of-state tuition. That's just astronomical. And so we started researching, and she went to Ole Miss in Tupelo. And so she graduated from Ole Miss. And therefore, she was a rebel. But you'll not find a piece of rebel clothing in her closet. And she wears Mississippi State stuff all the time.
Yeah. So who do you think was the hardest to convince? Peyton,
without a doubt.
But he said something to you after y'all came. I feel like you told me something like where y'all came and you did this and you knew that it was going to be hard for him. But what was his feedback after visiting and seeing Mississippi State and considering this position?
Well, I think with Peyton, and of course he's opened up a lot more the older that he's gotten. But one of the things that he said, Daddy, if that's where God wants us, I'm willing to go. And I'm willing to do, what the Lord wants you to do. And there have been times that he's faced struggles in school or faced struggles in this, that, and the other. I'm like, son, do you want to go home? And he's like, no, Daddy. He said, this is where God wants us to be. And so, I said, you're an Ole Miss guy. I said, what would you think about going to Mississippi State? And he's like, I'm all for it. If that's what God wants us to do, that's where I want to be. And so surprising to me because it
Yeah.
was the most surprising thing that I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah. We're going to get in more to Scott's role here with football as we go through some of these topics today. But Scott was an answered prayer because we had come in the summer of 2022. And then you just started meeting people, getting around. But football is such a huge program that thankfully with Coach Leach, you were able to go over to practice and be involved some, but you knew you needed, as to be a director, truly, you needed someone to fill that role as full-time football chaplain.
Yeah. It was fun to get to know everybody over there and be back in that environment with football because I haven't done that in a while. And then Coach Leach, of course, is a character, and he's definitely missed. But that first year here, we had a football player take his life, and then we also had Coach Leach pass.
Right.
After the Ole Miss win, and that was wild. I know that was the beginning of the year. It was kind of a crazy thing, and I just got through that, and I'm like, trying to process who do we hire next, where do we go next, and I'm like, we've got to have a football chaplain.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't do this well with the amount of people here, with the other job requirements that I have, and so we started that search, and Scott was like late into the deal. We had somebody we were talking with, and it didn't work out, and that was a long process. And then I'm talking with Coach Terrell, my boss at the time, and he's like, "Man, what about Scott?" He's like, "I went up and talked with him, and this is it." And I was like, "Wow, this was completely unexpected."
Yeah. Very
And
cool.
but man, God was at work over there and plowed the ground and all that, and it was just like it fit. It fits. So now he's starting year 4. It's been awesome.
So in other words, you tried everybody else.
No,
And when
Just
everybody
one
else
other
turned
person.
you down,
no, but you didn't it wasn't. We had a
was so
couple
funny.
applications, but Scott was just kind of
Yeah.
laid into it, and it just it was pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
I was just initially me and Coach were talking, and he was like, "I don't know about this," and then he got back from the meeting with Scott, and he was like, "I think this is going to work."
Yeah, Coach Terrell's responsible for a lot of, everybody at this
Man.
table, actually, because whenever Justin was reached out to, our state director reached out to Justin first and Justin said, yeah, Kyle wanted to talk about his dad, and his dad was going through some health stuff anyways. And I was like, that's all that Kyle wants to talk to you about. I'm sure that's all Kyle wants to talk to you about. So then we get on a call because Kyle has been like, hey, he did have something else to talk about, this position. And then we get on a call, and of course, Coach Terrell's on the call, Kyle's on the call, these people that we have relationships with because we served at Mississippi College, then University of Texas, now here. And I was like, of course, Coach Terrell is over this area now. And then,
Well, Coach Terrell was responsible for Brandy as well. Coach Terrell's got his hands everywhere.
he's
He
another
knows a
guest
lot of
we're going to
people.
have on the podcast.
But he's just he's so wise as well, and he is like the ultimate sage. We just call him a sage now.
That's awesome.
if you have Coach Terrell on here, you may have to have some kind of an interpreter because he has that Macon vernacular
Yes.
Yeah.
that only he understands.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, then another time when Justin and I kind of were at an impasse where I was really struggling being in Starkville the first year, maybe year and a half that we were here. And so we really, I was like, I think we both need to pray open-handed prayers. If I'm supposed to pray about coming on staff, I need to be open to that. And then Justin, if for some reason we need to go somewhere else, I need to know you're open to that, basically. And we prayed that prayer. And the next day, Justin met with Coach Terrell. And Justin comes home and he was like, I told Coach Terrell, you were thinking about potentially coming back on staff. And he loved that idea. I was like, no, this is not the way this was supposed to go. But anyways, we love Coach Terrell. So apparently he's part of some pretty big decisions here. We all have some reason we're sitting at the table because of Coach Terrell. Scott, on the previous episodes, we've talked about, I'll just say this real quick. Last episode, we talked to Maddie Anderson. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen. We tested out our remote podcasting, which was different, but it was good. And we'll keep working on that because that will open up opportunities to talk to other people that can't come sit in the room with us. But Maddie has been on such a journey, professional soccer career, and she's now in Dallas. And I just thought it was a really great time to catch up with her and interesting stories of what she's had to navigate. But we've also talked about just like how summers work, how there's time for rest, there's workouts, things like that. So I know when we had Coach Brooks a few weeks ago, our schedule kind of mimicked his a little bit, where May slows down a little bit and then picks back up late June, July. But I was thinking football is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different.
Yeah. So tell the listeners what football schedule's like.
Well, around the 1st of May, it does slow down. And there's, a few weeks there when you get a chance to breathe just a little bit. And the best thing with FCA is that, school's winding down. Therefore, we don't have a lot of stuff to do as a staff. And so, but at the end of May, football reports back. And
end of May.
Yeah, the end of May. Football reports back. And so they report back and start summer conditioning, summer lifting, that kind of stuff. And
at the end of May or beginning of June?
End of May.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The end of May.
Okay.
And, and the crazy thing about it is every coach does it different. It seems like that there's a trend now in college athletics where football is a lot going in the morning time as far as practice, lifting, running, that kind of stuff, instead of the afternoon, especially in Mississippi because it's so brutal.
Right.
Now, it's brutal in the morning too, but we start between, good night, 5 o'clock, 5:15 every morning. We come in, there's stretching periods. There's, times that they get treatment, that kind of stuff. And then we transition into the team run. And then after the team run is breakfast, of course. And then after breakfast, we go to lifting. And the way that football works is that when offense is lifting, defense is meeting. And when defense is lifting, then offense is meeting. And then they throw in a different wrinkle because after that, then you've got the true freshmen who some of them could come in and do the workout that a college athlete does. But they spend probably a month and a half where they train them how to lift because, strangely enough, and I don't mean this in a derogatory manner, but there are a lot of high schools that don't have proper weight conditioning programs, that kind of stuff. And so all that they know is bench press, deadlift, and squat, and half of them don't squat the right way.
Yeah.
And so when these bodies that come into the college athletic world making the money that they make now and with the NIL and this kind of stuff, they got to know how to do it right because they can't risk any injury at all.
Right.
And so, then freshmen lift, and then after that there's lunch.
Yeah.
And then after lunch is usually the time that we meet and get with players and all this kind of stuff, spend a little bit of time there. And normally by 1:30, 2 o'clock every day, I'm done. And then at the end of June, we get just a few days off around the 4th of July. It's the end of June, 4th of July. You get a few days off, and then you come back and you do the same thing. And the conditioning ramps up because it's getting close to fall camp. And then, like for us, it's August the 3rd right now. We took off, or they let the players off last Friday. And so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today they report back.
Okay.
And so when they report back, it's kind of a day where all of the assistant coaches today have media day, that kind of stuff. And then at 5 o'clock this afternoon, the players come back in and they're going to dinner with their position groups.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, you come back in and you do weights, you do injury check-in, all this kind of stuff. And it's more of just hey, we're getting together. Then we turn around, and Wednesday is the big day because Wednesday is the day where all of the acclimation starts. As far as I know, everybody's here. I don't expect to see any new faces, especially when they close the spring portal or the fall portal, whatever portal that they closed.
Right.
And so I don't expect to see a lot of new faces. But we come in, and Wednesday is usually a big team meeting day.
Okay.
And we'll have a small team meeting Wednesday morning, and then starting about 2 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, we have a team meeting from 2 until 4:30. And in that team meeting, nutrition, Thomas, the trainers, media,
Sports psych.
And even we get a chance to share who we
That's
are,
awesome.
what we do, what we're offering, that kind of stuff. And then Thursday morning is when it hits.
Oof.
And Thursday morning, we have team meeting. Usually team meetings are 7:30, I think. And then from there, we just roll into practice.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because you got volleyball and soccer they're about to roll right now. And then, but the other teams, this is when they get their breaks, because I know women's basketball just finished their workouts for the summer, and they'll get these couple of weeks before they come back for school. So it's just really interesting to see like how, what people's schedules and what the flow is like for each team.
Yeah, and the dynamic for baseball, even though it looks like they're breaking, they're not.
Right.
No.
Because baseball is all over the country, you know, playing summer league ball.
Right.
And that kind of stuff. And so,
Yeah.
even though
there's some returners that stuck around and get some workouts in.
Yeah. And
over the break.
Then you've got all kind of players that are back in, that are maybe training to go to.
Well, it was draft stuff too, so a lot of them were out training and preparing for some of that. And
So one of the words that you just used was like they'll acclimate this week on Wednesday, Thursday, and that kind of ties into our stretch topic. So Mary Ashley, who was an intern for us, she got married, and we have a couple of those episodes where we talked about engagement and what marriage and marriage advice and stuff like that. Justin and I.
bad marriage advice.
Yeah, that too. That we were at her wedding, and so I just followed up with her this past week, and so this kind of got me thinking on this topic. And I promise I'll connect the dots here in a second. But when I checked on her, I was like, "How are things going?" Like she was like, "We're loving it," And then she was like, "It was interesting though to go to the grocery store for the first time and shop together, because we both shop very differently, and the items we get, so we're just having to learn each other." And it just made me laugh because I remember when Justin and I first went to the grocery store. We were putting the items on the belt, and I think I put the bananas on there. I don't know if it was probably when I was picking the bananas out. I don't know. The whole thing, obviously I can't remember the story clear enough, but was, do you put bananas in a bag or not? Scott, do you put bananas in a bag or not?
I don't go to the grocery store.
Does your wife put the bananas in a bag? Do you know?
I have no idea.
You need to go ask her today.
I just see them sitting on the counter.
Okay.
Now, if I do put bananas in a bag.
You do?
I do.
Okay. Like not this grocery store bag, but like in the little bitty.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you put bananas in a
produce
bag?
bag?
Because it's the right thing to do.
This is going to be my story. Banana bag or no banana bag. There's going to be categories of people. So I did not. And Justin was like, we argued about it at the store. And I was like, you don't need a bag. You don't eat the peel. Like you take the peel off, so there's no need for a bag. So anyways, Mary Ashley.
Do you eat the tip of the banana?
What do you mean the tip?
Or do you break the tip off?
Break the tip off?
Yeah. The banana comes in a long...
Yeah.
And then it's got the little tips on the end of it.
Uh-huh.
Do you eat that tip or do you break that tip off?
Oh. Normally I take it off.
That a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, it was so funny because I was like remembering, it took me back. So it made me think about how many hours these teams spend together and what life looks like in close quarters when you are, especially so many of these people. I don't know if you can just like guesstimate, Scott, how many of these guys are new?
Oh, goodness. 65 to 70%.
Okay. So not only, and like how many of those are probably freshmen? I don't know. I'm throwing numbers at
10%.
Okay. So a lot of transfers.
Absolutely, yeah.
So not only, as a freshman, you're coming into college and you think, obviously this is going to be different than high school, but I'm always like, man, you have such a wide variety now of what people have experienced at other universities that now they're bringing those. I don't know. It's a lot for me to think about how much you have to get this group of people who have all these other experiences to compare to and expectations of what they want out of this experience. And then you got to get them to mesh in a few weeks.
Well, the acclimation part for football is that now, and goodness, I guess it would be different for baseball and every other sport. But with football, you've got that early enrollee period where that you can come in January if you're a freshman. And so 95% of them come in January. And so the acclimation process is a lot different because they have a chance to go through spring together. They have a chance to, experience conditioning before the real conditioning starts. Right. They get a chance to get the weight room figured out and that kind of stuff. But, I try to meet with every freshman that comes through because I want them to know one thing, and that is you can get big-eyed real easy. Yeah. In any sport that you play. I mean, good night. We were talking about it the other day, Peyton and I, about Dudy Noble and it being the largest SEC stadium, I guess, and how different that it is when you're playing in front of 14,000, 15,000 people. Right. The only other venue in college athletics that you're going to play in bigger than that is the College World Series. And that's a different animal within itself. But how do you throw a true freshman out there with 14,000 to 15,000 people? And so, sometimes we get big-eyed and this kind of stuff. And so I've dealt with several of them, and I'm like, all right, let me remind you of something. It's still football. Yeah. You got to block, you got to tackle, you got to catch, you've got to receive, you've got to kick. It's still football. It's going to be faster, but it's still football. And keep that in mind. Yeah. And so, some of them take that to heart. Some of them don't take that to heart. And they get boat raced in the spring because they haven't mentally acclimated to the reality of life that while they may have been a 5-star at their high school and never had to do anything, and I don't mean that in a negative way to 5-star athletes, but I mean, when you're dealing with, you're a running back that's a 5-star running back and you're playing against a defensive end that runs a 5.5 40 compared to a defensive end in the SEC that runs a 4.8 to 4.7 to 4.6, 4.5 40, and he's 260 pounds, it's just a lot of different there. Yeah. And where that they've never had to do anything extra. Right. Because it's all athletic ability. Right. When you come to college, pardon the incorrect grammar, stars don't mean nothing. Right. No, I mean, that's nothing but just recruiting. Right. That's how they make their money. Right. And God bless them for it. I wish that I had that ability to do that kind of stuff, Right. But when you come to college and you play ball, they don't mean anything. Right. It doesn't mean anything of how good that you were because you've got guys that are lining up next to you that are as good or better than you are. Some of it, they're better because they've been in the program longer. And so, you've got to acclimate to those things as well.
Yeah. I've had many, many speed of the game combos with these guys. They're so hard on themselves, and the coaches are having those combos too. But I'm like, look, I redshirted my first year for a reason. And it wasn't because it was some ability. I needed to work on some stuff, but it was mainly the speed of the game. Absolutely. I didn't have it all mentally there. And it took me a year.
I had a 2-hour conversation with a player at lunch about 2-3 weeks ago. And one of the things that he said was, I asked him, I said, so who's your favorite coach that you've ever played for? And he transferred in, and he's played for some big name coaches. He played for a big name program that has done some big things and just trying to, keep his identity and confidentiality. But he said that his coach here, his position coach here, is his favorite coach that he's ever played for because he does not look at him when he messes up and say, hey, sit. I'm not playing you anymore. Or I don't like you or
another variety of choice words.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for saying
brutal.
That. It is. Brutal. I mean, and call him everything but a man.
You're a waste of a scholarship.
Exactly. I've heard it. And he said he is the kind of guy that looks at him and says, we're going to fix this. Right. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. It's going to be okay. And they've got to get acclimated to that. Right. because coaching's different.
Right.
I told somebody one time, and the only requirement to coach in high school sometimes is that you just have to breathe. Mm-hmm. And there are some coaches that are that way. There's a lot of talented coaches in high school. Mm-hmm. But, it's like anything else that you do. Some are not called to do that, mm-hmm. but they got the job. Mm-hmm. And so, they're not used to that harsh treatment. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is because they're playing with these guys. They're playing with their families, mm-hmm. and with their feeding their money that they're making to feed their families. Because where in high school you may could have 3 or 4 losing seasons and you're fine. In college, you have 3 losing seasons. You're changing addresses,
right?
And so they do coach different, and there's just so many things that they've got to acclimate to.
Yeah.
Then you got some of them that live out west. Yeah. That moved to the South.
Where they're like,
where in the South your sweats. Mm-hmm. I mean, that humidity is 920,000%.
Yeah.
And they have to get acclimated to that.
Yeah.
I remember my first time walking from Ruby Hall. No, it wasn't Ruby because I stayed in the middle of campus at first during summer workouts. And I'd have to walk from Hull from Allen. And I just couldn't believe. I mean, I'm from Texas, and it's hot, and it gets humid there too. But it was nothing like Mississippi. And I remember someone comparing it to breathing through a sock, and I was like, "That's it right there. Like that is what feels so crazy here."
I've never heard that analogy, but that's good.
Yeah, you're like,
according to Dusty Slay, it's wet heat.
It's wet heat. Oh my gosh, comedian. Okay, so this is my stretch question. Okay. How many, now this is per the internet, but the answer kind of surprised me because I'm, of course, biased towards basketball. How many hours do you think your respective teams you serve spend together throughout the entire season? This is not necessarily just required hours, but I mean, teams travel together. They, whatever. Like, do you have any kind of number that you would put to that?
Oh, gosh. No, I have no idea.
Scott?
18,000 to 20,000.
Okay, so I have on here, did you look at my thing? I was like, there is no way. And it is not 18,000, 1,800.
How many hours we got in a year, man?
Yeah, I do.
About 19,000.
1,800 to 2,200.
About 1,000 with their family.
Yeah.
1,000. No, I was surprised because basketball, I mean, whenever I asked Google this question, it was like around 1,300, which I expected it because I expected basketball to be the most because the season is 2 semesters. Mm-hmm. But when you were just describing football, I mean, I just think
baseball 3-day weekends.
Yeah.
So they're there. I mean, that's 72 hours.
But even football outpaces
or 4 weekends.
I mean, baseball it was like 1,400 to 1,700, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting it to be a little bit different. But that's a lot of time to spend together.
Yeah.
And there's things in that time, obviously, that you're going to notice. And we've mentioned on the podcast before, we're like, do people get tired? They're just like so tired of each other?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, listen, I'll look forward to May.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a detoxing.
Yeah.
That, you've got to get in that situation where that you can find time to breathe, to get away from it so that you can come back refreshed.
Right.
Good night alive. I was coming back from Omaha, Nebraska from doing Jaden Wally's wedding this summer. And I'm sitting in an airport and I've just got on a T-shirt and all that I have is Mississippi State T-shirts.
Right.
And so this lady walks by and she's like 90 and she says, "Hotty totty." And I looked at her and I said, "Well, God bless you." And I'm like, I really wanted to holy throat punch her. I mean, serious. I'm like, really?
That's crazy.
It means this much to you?
Right.
And at that point in time, I couldn't have cared less about Mississippi State because I was on a 2 or 3 day break and I'm looking forward to just detoxing from everything.
Right.
But you have to.
I mean, because I was just thinking about this. I've never thought about this until this moment where like if you were to go to work and you get off work and you can't, I mean, a lot of people do spend time with the people that they work with, but essentially you get to go home, you get away from that environment. But imagine if you had to travel with those people every single week and go live in hotels together. Like, could you do that for 9 months out of the year? For basketball, it's like that. you know? I mean, that's the reality that people that are in athletics, that's what they're in. So it's like, it's a very fun, different type of work environment, but that's a lot to be around people.
But I'll throw this out, and I think that I would be right in saying this, that the tolerance level is probably easier in football than it is in baseball, basketball, or
the
anywhere like
frequency
that.
of trips.
Well, not only that, but there's a smaller group, and they're together all the time. When you got 105,
Right.
they're not all together all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have a position group that's together, but baseball, you've got 30 guys, something like that, 35 guys or 30 guys maybe that travel. I don't know what the number is. And basketball, I mean, you've got 5 on the floor,
Right.
and however many you've got on the bench, and you've got that smaller number where you're rubbing shoulders with these people every day, all day.
Yeah.
And in football,
That's a good point.
Football, you can kind of.
So what you're saying is the smaller the number, the more fragile a situation could be if you have one person who is like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Like it can really crush a program.
Yeah.
The smaller the team, just one person probably can have a more dramatic impact. Hopefully that works both ways.
Well, it does. But the terms used in football, you got cancers in the locker room. Because there are some people that are just a cancer. And it doesn't matter if you go to any program in the world, whatever age level,
Right.
there's cancer in the program.
Right.
Because there's going to be somebody that doesn't want to be there, or that's there for the wrong reason, or for whatever it is, and so as a result of it, it's just not a positive.
And sometimes you don't know that until you get tested or whatever. I mean, sometimes it takes a little while before things like that surface. Right. Okay, we're going to talk about team cohesion in just a minute, but I wanted to know, do you remember anything I guess I'm kind of comparing all these teams' relationships and dynamics to what it's like whenever you move in after you get married and you're with your spouse and you start seeing things that you didn't know, or habits or things like that. So was there anything that you can remember from, how long have y'all been married?
28 years.
Okay, Justin and y'all have got us by 10 years. It'll be 18 this December for me and Justin. So anything that you noticed, or like habits or any stories or anything like that you noticed when you first moved in that you're like, I know that it was kind of interesting to see like, what do people do? What does Justin do like when he gets home from work? Like if he was by himself, he could just chill, do whatever. But especially early on in marriage, I didn't have a job. So I was looking for a job. It wasn't that I didn't want to work, but anyways, it was just a tough time. But I remember I would like cook. I would go intentionally and like meal plan and like have this meal, and then he would be exhausted. And if he was by himself, he could just rest and he would not have questions. But he'd come home and I'd want to like have this meal. And so it's just, anyway, that's one thing that I can remember from back in the day, that it was like, oh, this is different.
But it's sort of like during COVID, when you're together all the time. I had a guy that I heard, he said that his wife looked at him and said, "I miss missing you."
Wow.
I miss missing you.
Wow.
You need to get up out of here.
Yeah. But with us, it was so different because, Susan lived at home until we got married. And I lived by myself. And so I'm thinking, man, I can't wait for her to move in with me. And then we have a 24-hour dating relationship.
Right.
And I'm like, when she moves in and she puts all of her stuff in the bathroom, I'm like, that's my spot.
Oh, funny.
This is my chair.
Yeah.
This is my space, and and that was hard acclimating to that.
Yeah.
But you learn.
Yeah.
You learn.
Bananas in a bag.
One thing I didn't mention that I did learn from Justin at the grocery store that was great was that he puts, and other people may do this, but he puts everything like categorically on the
I
belt.
put cold with cold.
Yeah.
So that whenever it's bagged, you can just put it up like that. We never did that. So I did think that was pretty genius. And I have since, I
not
do
perfect
not.
at it, but I just try to,
Did you work at a grocery store?
No.
Your mom just always did that, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I worked at Kroger in high school.
Okay.
And so you had to put cold with cold
Yeah.
in a bag, and bread, on top of everything, or in a separate bag by
eggs,
itself.
separate,
Eggs separate, that kind of stuff. And if you didn't, Granny would get on to you.
Yeah, she would.
So
That's funny.
But now at 51, almost 52, I just put it on there.
You just put it in there. That's hilarious. Do you remember anything that annoyed you, maybe, about me?
Oh, man.
I mean, we're very different when it comes to like routines and habits. Like there's just different things. I'm a little bit more, I want to have like certain things. Justin's kind of not like fly by the seat of your pants, but you're like kind of just more ebb and flow with the day. Like not every day necessarily like looks super the same. I would say habit wise, we're a little bit different with that. Like I'm going to be like, we need to like try to do this and this and this and this every day.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that. I married a calendar.
A calendar. You also like the temperature.
Which is good.
The temperature in the house is also a thing for us. Where below 70, I'm cold.
Yeah, but yeah, you're just a lot.
You're
colder.
just a lot. You
just colder.
Paused after that. You need to finish that sentence.
No. Well, I'm trying
She's
to
just
think
a
of
lot.
these things because it's been. I just don't remember, which is sad.
Okay,
But you
well,
do get
I will
cold.
I will tell you
very
another
quickly.
thing that I do know for sure bothers Justin, and I've since changed my ways. Tried to shoes on the floor, like you would run into them.
Oh God, I feel like I would hit your shoes all the time.
I feel like Dr. Phil right here.
Yeah, you should.
No, but I also recently,
Dr. Phil.
I
I'm
remember.
scared. What are you saying?
No. The toilet paper goes on the ring
Oh,
the wrong
right.
way, or doesn't even go on, and so I have to replace that all
That's
the time.
the worst thing that you can say about me. No,
But
I'm just
then I
kidding.
also leave vehicles empty on gas.
Oh my
for you to
gosh.
drive,
Yeah.
so-
Okay, Scott, question for you. If you're, y'all, do you ever drive your wife's car?
All the time.
Okay.
Susan, do not listen to this.
If the gas is getting low, do you bring it home like that or do you go fill it up?
I'll go fill it up.
Oh, interesting.
I'm just, but I'm in a situation where like if her oil needs changing or anything like that, if I take her car to get her oil changed, she's going to get a full tank of gas.
Yeah.
And it's just because
I have so much to say right now.
I do that for myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm not.
I know, but we also live right in the middle of town as well. I know.
Justin,
it's just,
you know what? I
we're
give it
all
to
right.
Justin. Justin, I think, believes I can do whatever I set my mind to. So he's
No.
like, she's fully capable
part
of
of
these
it is
things.
I'm going to get back in this vehicle and go fill it up. I need to get home because I have these things that you need. And so I'm getting home, or I need to take care of the kids.
No matter how
Something.
many times
There's a reason in my head. It's
Dr.
not
Phil,
because.
Dr. Phil.
It's not because,
no matter,
I can't wait just to do this to Bethany.
No matter how many times I take a picture of how empty the tank is and send a little angry red-faced emoji to Justin, he will still prioritize getting home
To be with you.
to be with me over.
Do you take a picture of the debit card and send it back to her? I mean, yeah, hey, here it is.
Yeah, he could definitely do that with the Amazon account.
Yeah.
He could be like, what? Because I'll get packages and I'll be like, I can't.
Oh, gosh. What is this?
Yes. I'll be like, I can't even remember what I ordered.
I don't remember what I ordered. That happens a lot.
And Justin's like, just gives me the
You got
stare.
4 packages a day. Oh, I don't even remember.
He went with me to Walmart last night to get a couple of things, and I could just tell on his face because I'm like walking down. I'm like, oh yeah, because there's like, I don't know if other women do this, but there's always an additional list of things that need to be picked up at certain times. So we went in for a couple things, but while we're there,
She
passing
mentions,
things.
I have a few more things to get, and I'm like, I know. It's always another thing to
But
get.
I feel judgment every time I put
just get
something
real
in
quiet.
in the cart because he's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I wish I could remember what it was last night because I think it like proved true and it was very validating for me, whatever it was that we picked up that was like extra. But anyways, people are acclimating right now. When we were in Walmart, we did see some parents with their college kids and they're trying to get all their
Oh,
stuff
that's
ready.
hilarious. I mean, to go in Walmart this time of year
Yeah.
and see all of these college kids and parents in there together, and it's like mass chaos.
I remember. It's good memories with my mom
Yeah.
of just
Taking care of that first grocery order.
Well, yeah, I remember even takes me back to the pictures of like getting the room set up and then taking pictures with mom and dad at the room. I think just not dad. Dad took the picture, but mom was the one that was like, yeah, it's Justin in his dorm room, you know?
The greatest but the worst thing that's happened to us is Walmart Plus.
Oh, love some Walmart Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, we get everything delivered.
Yeah, nice.
And I've learned this is how low maintenance that I want to be. I want no hassle. Don't put me in a handle, this kind of stuff. If I need the stuff quick, I'll pay the $5-6 extra.
Right.
And I'll tip the person, hey, bring it to my house.
Yeah.
I mean, bring it to my house.
Pretty clutch.
It is.
Listen, I discovered, I don't know if it's like this every year, but when they do their deal days, so for anyone listening that wants a good deal, they'll do half price on the membership for the year. So I hold out until like June, whatever.
This podcast is brought to you by
Walmart Plus.
Who knew?
That, oh God. Oh my goodness. Okay, so obviously having to acclimate these college students coming to campus, these teams have already been having to do that. But it did make me think about team cohesion. And this word is, I'm sure this phrase has been around for a long time. But the first time that I heard that terminology was from Jeff Duke with FCA 3D coaching. And that's 3D coaching was one of the materials. Justin and I were introduced to it in 2009.
Man, it was gold. It was just great
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, I felt like even for...
It still is gold.
It still is gold.
For discipleship purposes, I actually felt like that was more helpful than some of like the Bible study resources or whatever, because you're, especially in what we do with FCA and having a student leadership team and having huddles on campus every week, like we do need to know, how do we get a team to be cohesive? And we were at Mississippi College at the time when we had just learned that material, and that material helped inform us on how to form a team in starting out ministry. So I'm super thankful for Jeff Duke and his just all that he's done. And that has blown up. Like it is its own thing now. It was kind of like embedded in FCA, but it's like its own thing. But the internet says team cohesion is the degree to which a group of people are united around a common purpose and committed to one another in pursuing that purpose. In athletics, cohesion means that players trust each other, sacrifice for each other, and believe that they are stronger together than apart. And apparently, team cohesion can be divided into two parts. Task cohesion, which are we united around the mission and goals, which I'm sure y'all will hear on Thursday with football. They'll start talking about that stuff. And then social cohesion. Do we genuinely enjoy and care for one another? And great teams need both.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious what y'all have heard about coaches, like just in your respective sports. I know with basketball, I walked in one day and they're calling it mind gyms. I don't know how frequently they do it, but have the team together and they like played a little bit of Remember the Titans. And then they had a discussion about the scene between the two main characters on the defensive side.
Left side, strong side.
Yeah. And that...
Gary Bertier.
Yes.
Bertier.
And how...
and Julius.
Yes.
What was his last name? I'm sorry. This is like...
I know. It's the best movie. It's the best sports movie in my book of all time.
I forget Julius's last name.
But...
attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
That's the exact scene that they showed. So they were talking about that, and then I walked in another day, and they had everybody had taken the Enneagram personality test, and they had everybody listed on a board, like which personality type are you, kind of thing. So clearly, they're talking about team cohesion and figuring out through these summer workouts, how do we can start that conversation and build that into our program. So I was curious how y'all have seen that in baseball and football thus far. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot more to come.
Well, I think with football, I mean, in anything you do, and I hope this term is understood, they've got to find their pecking order. Mm-hmm. You know, who is the dog?
Yeah.
And then, but you have to learn to trust the guy next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can learn to trust the guy next to you, then things go so much better. The crazy thing about, when I played, I was an offensive lineman. I was destined to be an offensive lineman out of the womb. But seeing this year, 3 guys, Cannon Boone, our center, DJ Chester, and LJ Prudhomme, our 2 guards. They're like Peter, Paul, and Mary. I mean,
Nice.
they're together all the time, and they're cutting on each other. They're loving on each other. They spend time together, and they're building that cohesion together. And so that's why I think that the offensive line is going to be a lot better this year, because you've got that opportunity where that you can trust, that you can trust this guy next to you.
Yeah. Do you think, you talking about 3 guys, do you think that is required for a team to have like 2 or 3 that, like, I've heard that term of like, we can build around or build on like these players? Like, do you have to have that? Is that normally the case? Like where you always have, I know women's basketball had a few returning that it's like, essentially like they're the leaders on the team and they can quote unquote build around them. But is that required? Does that always happen?
No, I don't think it's required. It helps.
Yeah.
It helps. I remember watching Coach O'Connor last year, again, brand new staff. So he had some returners, people like Bryce Chance, which was a big part of that, and the culture piece and the cohesion piece. But what they had to do and what they did is they went to square one with every single one of them and talked about what they're doing, why they're doing it, fundamentally doing drills that a lot of these guys are going, this is a waste of time. Oh, wow. But they're going all the way to make sure everybody gets it, and they're talking through it to where the full program is being put in to each one of these guys, not assumptions, not anything. And so they went all the way to square one, and that's the order of like, that's Coach O'Connor, Coach Mack, they are like very tedious about learning these things in order foundationally to make sure everything's set. So you don't have to have returners to do that. You can do that with a brand new group of guys.
And I have so many thoughts rolling around. We're going to have to keep
it does help.
This next few topics on the episodes. We can flesh some of this out.
What do you do in the military? You go to boot camp.
Everybody's at the same,
and you go to boot camp. You break a man down to build him up.
Yeah,
and when you're coming back into football, for instance, and you asked earlier about what's the number of new guys. In January when we meet in a team meeting, he'll have all of the new guys go to the front and all of the returners sit. And when you've got more new guys that are in the front than returners that are sitting in the seats, you've got so many different personalities that come in. But when you got a kid, and I'll use LJ and DJ and Cannon, for instance. Cannon's been here, this is his 4th, 5th year, something like that. But LJ played at Arkansas. Well, the mentality at Arkansas is different than it is here. DJ came from LSU. And I don't mean this as a knock on Mississippi State. When we have 2 kids on our team that played at LSU. When they walked in the room, I knew they were different. Because at LSU, they did it right. And not, again, not a knock on Mississippi State, but they did it right. And so you can tell a difference in them. And so I'm sitting here this winter, we're in the Palmera one day, and all of a sudden it's 9:45 and I'm still standing there with the offensive line, and the coaches have gone. And LJ and DJ are taking the young pups and running them through drills and teaching them things that they know as a senior that will make this kid a lot better because they know that their time may be limited here. And so they want to pour into the next generation and teach them how to do the craft.
Wow.
And DJ Chester, I love him. I mean, he is my guy. And I pick that he may have the first dollar that he ever made and he's not cheap, but he's smart. And he invests. He does a lot of things that are different. You used a term one time, and I don't even know if you'll remember the term that you used. You said he's got an old soul. That's DJ.
Yeah.
He's got an old soul. He's a 90-year-old man in a 21-year-old body.
Yeah, you need those.
But he just does things different.
Yeah.
And so as a result of it, when he comes in, he commands the room.
Yeah.
He commands the room. And it's very important where we are in the culture of Mississippi State. And Coach Lebby, I think, would agree that he's been trying to get us to this point.
Yeah.
Is thankful that we have this group now.
Yeah.
So Coach Duke, Jeff Duke, with 3D coaching, we call that peer modeling.
Yeah.
And the goal as a coach is to raise up leaders that can teach others to do the same.
Because they acquire
we call
the
that
skills.
discipleship, a variety of other things.
They
but
acquire the skills a lot faster when they're taught with a peer.
Peer to peer, they acquire the skill faster. You're right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I love about baseball and what they do is just a small thing, but it's 5-minute abs at the end of practice. They're all in a circle, and they're all doing it. And so when they built this up, the coaches actually led the middle. Some of the younger coaches that were fit, not the older ones. And so they would do all those drills, rotate them, call them out. Everybody was in order, bam, doing it in sync with each other. But once they got in better shape, a lot of the players would rotate and go in the middle. So it would start with the captains and all those things. But at the end of it, they would get together in a circle or like get together in a group, and they would call out 3 or 4 of the older guys initially first. And guys would get to ask them questions about, hey, how did you get here? What's your story? What's your why? All these things. And so everybody would kind of get to answer. So they got to really get to know their teammates. After doing that group exercise together, being on point, doing it right, now you get to hear from some of the older guys. And it was rotate. So everybody kind of get to know, what are you passionate about? Who's your hero? Whatever. And so things like that, where you get to go know your teammates, is an exercise. Just watching that is really cool to see that team grow.
Which is a combination of task and social coaching.
Yes. Yeah. And so you're producing leaders. Because some of these young guys are like, dude, I don't want to lead this. I don't want to speak up. Coach O'Connor, it's simple. It is so simple, but it is so important.
Impactful.
He says, you have to get used to speaking up.
Yeah.
You cannot be quiet when you do this drill. And that's why one of the many reasons why we do this, you have to speak up. And because you have to be talking just like everybody else when we're doing these drills and we're calling out and you have to respond. And so it's teaching these young guys, you got to step up. Can't be quiet.
One of the things I love about FCA is that we can come alongside coaches if this is a role that we can play with them and help them take something that is, like a physical exercise like that and essentially make it a lesson. And one time we did that. I did that with Coach Duke at Paul Allen Duke at Mississippi College. And the girls had this drill where they had to run with their hands above their head. And if they dropped, you add time to the board. And we were planning to fool them the whole time, but we played it off really well. And then at the end, this is what's so crazy. I can't even remember what my lesson was, what the whole point was, but got them to a point where the time on the clock was honestly just impossible, but they were being as hard as they possibly could be. But that made me kind of think about that there are times where it's they can be accomplishing these tasks, but we can also work on other things at the same time to help with cohesion. And that was a fun part for me with FCA, just the creativity of we don't have to take extra time. We just need to be purposeful and strategic with what you're already going to be doing with your team. And then we can have a moment to talk about it.
But see, that's transformational in nature.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about transformational coaching in any aspect of coaching that you do. And and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything like that, but I had a daddy, Peyton played Legion ball this summer, and there was a kid that I coached that played Legion ball with him. And his daddy looked at me and he said, I want you to know that I appreciate everything that you did for my son. He said, because you cared as much about him as you did about his baseball career. And he said, and you poured into him the right way. And the transformational part of it is so real because there are 1 million kids that play high school athletics. If you do the numbers, there's under 100,000 that play college athletics.
Right.
Then you do the math in the NFL, there's only 3,000 people that play in the NFL.
Right.
And so not everybody is going to play in the league, and we know that.
Right.
And as a result of it, and this is what that I taught our coaches when we went through the 3D coaching, is that you have to be transformational in nature because these are things that these kids can take and they can use for the rest of their life. I had a conversation with Braylon Womack the other day, and I love this kid with all of my heart. He is going to be a phenomenal football player, but he went to Hartfield Academy. And I just asked him, I said, Braylon, did you ever regret going to an academy? And he said, not at all. And he was very, very quick in answering that.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I said, all right, tell me why. And he said, well, athletically, he said, I had to get out and go to camps and this kind of stuff. And we were at a job fair, and I said, so what did Academy do for you? And he said, Academy taught me how to have these conversations with these professional people. And he said, and to know how to do that and to do it better. And so I looked at it like somebody poured into him in a transformational nature.
Right.
And then as a result of it, it's pouring into his life. And then now looking back on it, seeing what he has done on the football field, in the weight room, in the conditioning programs and this kind of stuff, I can see how true that is.
Yeah.
But I also see him at a point in his life where that he literally finds that person who is the oldest guy on the team, and he is like a leech. I want to learn. Teach me.
Yeah, that's good.
Teach me.
Yeah. That takes such maturity to do that. And
So it's not just about ball.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Man, I have so many different ways that we can go with this. I will just tease this. We'll come back to this topic, but there is a guy named Patrick Lencioni who has a book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And he talks about how team cohesion is built in layers. And the first is trust, and then healthy conflict, commitment, accountability, and then collective results. So we'll get into more of that in the upcoming episodes. But there was something that you said, Scott, that I wanted to come back to, and then we'll end with this, is that you said these guys did it right. And one of the things that came to mind when you said that, because that could be interpreted a bunch of different ways, but the way that my brain kind of went with that statement was there's something about an environment that can hold a standard. Like they know who they are, they know what they're about, and then they hold and maintain that standard for the whole season. And I just think about, like, as a parent, like that's a very hard thing to do. And we've gone back and forth about, like when we get kind of, life gets busy, stuff happens. And so you can realize you start kind of fading on like what you would typically hold a line about. And then something will kind of remind you like, no, that's not what we're getting. You get like re-energized, like, no, this is what we're about. But I just feel like the cultures that are the strongest are the ones that know who they are, and then they can hold that standard for consistently across their staff for the long haul. And that is, I think that's very hard to do. Like, because the reality is we're all humans and we have other lives. These coaches have their families, they have stuff going on, but then they have to come to practice, and whatever they want their culture to be, essentially, I mean, even that line from Remember the Titans, attitude reflects leadership. You have to, like, how do you even do that? How have y'all seen coaches hold that standard? Because I think that's what produces doing things the right way, is like whenever there's consistency over a long period of time of a standard. Does that make sense?
I get it with every meeting that I'm with Coach O'Connor.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be talking and it's light talking, and then all of a sudden he's up close. And then he is like hands on his knees, he's engaged, and he is passionate about, what he's talking about, and this and this.
Love that.
And it is all holding the standard and the importance of this and this and this. And he's like, oh man, you got me on that, and just some things. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, he is just supposed to be a coach. I mean, it is just a beautiful thing to watch this man right in his lane, holding the standard, but also even better than all of it is he lives it.
Yeah.
It's his life. It's who he is.
Well, you mentioned something a minute ago about the book, and you mentioned three things, I think, and you said something about the ability to take responsibility yourself.
Yeah.
We had a thing the other day where a speaker came in, and he used the term accountability. And he said, accountability is the obligation or willingness to accept responsibility for your actions, decisions, and outcomes. It involves being answerable to others, owning up to your mistakes without shifting blame, and actively working to improve future results. I mentioned Dr. Phil a minute ago. Dr. Phil, and I'm old. I get it.
Yeah. Hopefully, people like these athletes, if they listen, they even know who that is. Google if you don't.
They may not know who Dr. Phil is.
But I get it. Dr. Phil said there are a lot of people that are right fighters. They've always got to be right. They've always got to be right. You want to know how to win in a marriage. You want to know how to win in church. You want to know how to win in life. You want to know how to win in a team. It's the ability to say, you know what? I screwed that one up. And I can't tell you how many times this summer that I've had to look at Peyton and say, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I messed that one up.
Yeah.
And understanding that I think that when you've got a leader that is willing to look at everybody and say, I'm wrong, then that's where things can begin to build. When you find yourself accountable, you can demand things when people know that you live that standard out in your life. Like you were talking about Coach O'Connor, with the fact of living it out in your life, living it out every single day. And it's not something, and listen, hey, public service announcement for everybody in America. Kids are not as dumb as we think they are.
Yeah. They see it all.
They see it all, and they can pick a fake out in a crowd of a million.
Yeah.
And so as a result of it, if you're going to say it, you better live it.
Right.
And if you're not going to live it, don't say it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that that's where that leadership begins, that you can be that leader and you can be that one that is the catalyst of change when you're willing to humble yourself.
Yeah.
It's amazing that everything comes back to Jesus.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes we think, well, if I'm going to hold that standard, then I can't apologize because I've got to be on it every single day. But then the reality hits that sometimes we do mess up and people will see that discrepancy. And if you just blow past it and ignore it, then you become a little bit confusing, a lot confusing. And so I think that's where it's like you can be humble, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're weak, but you kind of get like whenever you can admit fault, then you get like, okay, we're going to restart. Like I even said in parenting, we get weary and we're like, we do have standards or things we want to be about, and then just life. But if we can apologize and admit like, hey, this happened, like we weren't on it, like, but reset, like we apologize, let's move on, or just, it might not even be something that we're apologizing for, but just admitting like, oh my goodness, we have slid far from where we want to be. Let's restart. And so I think that's part of, it is possible to hold a standard, but I think humility is important because you're not going to be authentic if you can't do that. And kids will see it and it will be confusing to them. But
in my living room last night, and I don't mean to overwhelm the conversation, but in my living room last night was a coach that lives across the street from me that coaches high school football, that won a state championship this year, had one loss, beat a team in the state championship that nobody thought could be beat, and he did it handily. And he looked at me and I told him, I said, I want you to understand one thing. I said, winning has the possibility to do two things in your life. I said, has the possibility to either humble you or make you haughty. And I said, the bad part is that a lot of coaches allow it to make them haughty, where that you can't touch them.
right.
There's no accountability. They're always right. You don't know anything, or somebody that is humble enough to say, you know what, there's still things to learn.
Right.
There's still things to learn. I'm still going to mess up. I'm still going to make mistakes. And when you can get to that point in your life is when you begin to grow.
Yeah.
Is when you begin to grow. When I pastored a church, and the last church I pastored, and I think that if you went back, I still love every single person that went to church with me. They still reach out to me. I still reach out to them. I mean, and love every single one of them. But one of the things that I think that they will tell you, and again, this is not beating my drum or clanging cymbals or anything like that. I never asked anybody to do anything that, first of all, I didn't do myself. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to see me do that. Mm-hmm. I never asked people to cut grass. Mm-hmm. I cut grass because I wanted them to see me cutting grass. Mm-hmm. I never asked anybody to mop a floor before I mopped the floor, or mm-hmm. sweep before mm-hmm. I swept. Mm-hmm. But I was also a guy that was very transparent. If I would get in the pulpit and I would preach on something and I would say, guys, listen, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
This is what I struggle with. This is what I deal with. This mm-hmm. is what I fight every single day mm-hmm. of my life. And as a result of it, it built that cohesion in a congregation that was unstoppable.
Yeah.
And it starts with the leader, though.
Yeah, and I think that you mentioned the word transformational coaching earlier, and I think that that's the sweet spot of transformation is whenever you have a standard and you're holding that and you're pushing that, but then also you have enough humility to admit fault or even just like being lackadaisical about something, whatever, that's not like you can see it. Like so many people can't see the discrepancy in what they're asking of people and what their life actually looks like.
Yeah.
And so being able to admit that and being self-aware, which is a whole nother topic we could get into on this podcast, self-awareness.
You don't always have to be the pastor. You don't always have to be the coach. You don't always have to be the player or the athlete. Sometimes you just need to be human.
Yeah.
And you said it best. I mean, we've got life outside of life.
Right.
And I've got life outside of this.
Right.
Because if Mississippi State and Mississippi State football, if this was my life and everything within me, this is me, then I'm going to fail.
Right.
And I'm going to fail miserably. And I have to have a life outside of here. This is a great game. It's a horrible God. And as a result of it, this is not who I am. It's what I do. It's what God's called me to do. And so you have to have that break and shift in life too.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, it's just kind of maybe a tease for those athletes who are moving coming in the next few weeks for FCA is that one of the things that my sister told me not too terribly long ago, we were talking about church and the purpose of church and of gathering together. And there's a lot of things, if we were to have a discussion, especially with different people at the table, like even like if Darius was here, like just we have such a variety of experiences of what church family life looks like. So we'd have a bunch of different answers, I'm sure, for like the purpose of church or of gathering. But the thing that stood out to me that she said is, there are standards that God has that for his people. And when we come together in church, we're reminded of that standard because as humans, it's natural to just fade like from what it is that we're called to do or called to be. And that's the chance that we get. It's not a, like you've got to be doing this and like this burden, but it's this reminder of where life comes from and that you get, it's a reminder. And so many of the athletes last year made a decision to just make FCA part of their weekly routine. And I think if we had them sitting at the table, they would agree like that was a huge benefit to them and it was life-giving to them. But it's just that gathering together to be reminded, oh, this is who we are. This is who we're called to be. And we get to be this together. And so we're looking forward to that. So that'll be in a few weeks when we get kicked off. But just a reminder to all those who are involved that that's what it's for, to come together, to just be reminded once again. And that's what these teams are doing too. Like every single team in Mississippi State Athletics is going to have its own culture. But then you break down and each of these teams is going to have their own culture. And what are they doing? They're reminding them, this is who we are. This is our group identity. This is what we're going to be about. We're going to work hard. I would say one thing that's probably common because we are the Bulldogs is that I've heard this in multiple spaces. Like you can identify those people who are never quit mentality. And it's like, we're just dogs here at Mississippi State. We work hard, we fight. And the audience, like, the people that come that have tracked with Mississippi State athletics, you can tell that they get frustrated when our teams don't like perform like that, because I think that is part of the identity of being a Mississippi State Bulldog is just like you fight, you work hard.
We're not going to go away.
Yeah. So any other thoughts as we close?
I walked in looking for makeup and nobody did makeup.
Oh, for this podcast. No,
so disappointing.
No video. We'll have to when we get upgraded, whenever that happens.
I have a face for radio. As
we close, we're thankful for Scott for coming in today because there is life outside of things, and he had to drop his son off and meet us over here today, which we appreciate. We're painting our house right now, finishing up, so
I'm busy all day.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want anything to do with what's going on at our house right now. Trust me. We have put in some hours to get this summer project finished. So, anyways, but we're thankful for this time. Thankful we can talk about this topic. We're thankful for the teams that we serve because they're doing a lot of good work, and it's very encouraging to have the quality of people that are on staff and these coaches that we get to come alongside, and we just
we get to watch a lot of really good coaches.
Yeah, we're thankful for
and
that.
them adjust and change. And
yeah, you talk about growth mindset. I've seen that every year where I don't know that I really can't say that I've been around a coach here that is just so like, I'm not changing. Like they have such, they know that they have to be that way, and you can know that but not adapt. And I think that they have adapted. They listen to people. They listen to the input of just the people that love their programs. And anyway, I've just been super encouraged, just being an observer of how they are being those people that are choosing to grow, choosing to learn, pressing into that. And we're just thankful for them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. And we're thankful for you, all those out there who listen to this podcast. And we look forward to just the coming weeks as we continue this topic of team cohesion and living in close quarters. Thanks for listening to the Created to Be podcast. To learn more about Mississippi State FCA, visit www.msufca.org and follow us on Instagram at HailStateFCA_. And check out our new Instagram for podcast content at Created to Be Podcast. If you would like to become a financial partner, visit www.fca.org/donate to sow into the work God is doing through FCA at Mississippi State.